All right, we're back on. I was just that guy with the blower. I thought we'd stop for a minute. Hopefully it doesn't pick up. I think the mic works pretty good. Oh, one thing about Lamentations, you notice that the 5 chapters, they're 22 verses each except chapter 3, which is 66 verses, but they're shorter. So that's kind of neat. And so just the way it is poetically done. All right, chapter 2. How the Lord in his anger has set the daughter of Zion under a cloud. He has cast down from heaven to earth the splendor of Israel. He has not remembered his footstool in the day of his anger. See, the earth or the land is his footstool. See, all the land is the Lord's. And, some people, they want to gather it for themselves, and they don't want to go through God Almighty. They don't want to go through the King. So look at Psalm 2. You want to be wise, look at Psalm 2 after you looked at Proverbs 1, and you will see that fight against God. So anyway, the meek will inherit the earth, and the meek are the ones who turn to Jesus Christ as Lord. The Lord has swallowed up without mercy all the inhabitations of Jacob. In his wrath he has broken down the strongholds of the daughter of Judah. He has brought down the ground in dishonor, the kingdom and its rulers. He has cut down in fierce anger all the might of Israel. He has withdrawn from them his right hand. In the face of the enemy he has burned like a flaming fire in Jacob, consuming all around. Well, just in thinking about that, think about the plan he had for the seed and for Israel. Has the plan for Israel stopped? Did it come to nothing? It reminds me of Moses, when he's pleading for the people, because God could have wiped them out completely, but he didn't. He still brought them forward, even though those children, when they're wandering in the desert, all of those unfaithful ones, all of them died because they spent 40 years in the wilderness, and then the children were brought up. Well, it's kind of like this earthly Israel, Jerusalem, boom, down. And that temple, but God exalted another one. So the Israel of God is in that Messiah that was coming, who is Christ, and then others came in, so all of Israel would be saved in this Messiah, Jesus Christ. All right. He has bent his bow like an enemy, with his right hand set like a foe, and he has killed all who were delightful in our eyes. In the tent of the daughter of Zion, he has poured out his fury like fire. Well, judgment is the Lord's. He will repay. We are not the ones taking we don't decide the ultimate judgment of who's going to heaven or hell. God is the one who sees the hearts. We can judge things righteously, and Jesus said, take the log out of your eye, so you can judge righteously and help a brother that way. But we are not battling against flesh, remember. It's spiritual forces in wickedness, so it's against the devil. All right, the Lord has become like an enemy. He has swallowed up Israel. He has swallowed up all its palaces. He has laid in ruins its strongholds, and he has multiplied in the daughter of Judah mourning and lamentation. He has laid waste his booth like a garden, laid in ruins his meeting place. The Lord has made Zion forget festival and Sabbath, and in his fierce indignation has spurned king and priest. Yeah, they had not good kings, not good priests. Remember, Jeremiah speaks about the kings, the princes, the priests, the prophets, and the peoples, all of them. So we can't put the blame, just like now, we can't put the blame all on politicians. It's people. Everybody's individually going to be before the Lord. The Lord has scorned his altar, disowned his sanctuary. He has delivered into the hand of the enemy the walls of her palaces. They raised a clamor in the house of the Lord as on the day of festival. The Lord determined to lay in ruins the wall of the daughter of Zion. He stretched out the measuring line. He did not restrain his hand from destroying. He caused rampart and wall to lament. They languished together. Her gates have sunk into the ground. He has ruined and broken her bars. Her king and princes are among the nations. The law is no more. See, they got taken among the nations captive. And her prophets find no vision from the Lord. Yeah, those false prophets, they weren't getting anything from the Lord. They were making it up. The true prophets of God were actually humble, and they bowed themselves down to holy God, and they were actually getting what God was saying. The elders of the daughter of Zion sit on the ground in silence. They have thrown dust on their heads and put on sackcloth. The young women of Jerusalem have bowed their heads to the ground. My eyes are spent with weeping. My stomach churns. My bile is poured out on the ground because of the destruction of the daughter of my people, because infants and babies faint in the streets of the city. Wow, now that you know it's bad. You got poor little babies in the streets fainting. They cry to their mothers, "Where is bread and wine?" as they faint like a wounded man in the streets of the city, as their life is poured out on their mother's bosom. Wow, see, they're just dying on their mother's bosom. Now that's sad. That's from their own rebellion is what happened. All right, what can I say for you? To what compare you, O daughter of Jerusalem? What can I liken to you that I may comfort you, O virgin daughter of Zion? For your ruin is vast as a sea. Who can heal you? Your prophets have seen for you false and deceptive visions. They have not exposed your iniquity. See, those false prophets, they would not expose their iniquity. Oh, they're just saying how prosperous, how great they were, but they wouldn't speak the truth. And, well, too bad. A lot of times churches want to be like the world. They don't want to speak the truth that needs to be heard so that people can avoid these situations, right? Now, there were people that avoided the situation because God said, no, you need to submit to the Babylonians, go into captivity, and 70 years later, I'm going to free you so you can come back here, rebuild. And so those that were loyal to God, they actually did come back and rebuild that temple. So the promises that they would come back to the land and rebuild the temple, those promises were given before they went into Babylonian captivity, and God fulfilled those promises. So this one where they made themselves come back into Jerusalem here and started a new nation like the rest of the world, well, that's just men who reject God, who want to be like the rest of the world. But we still preach the gospel to all men so they might be saved. Unless they're going to stop you and refuse it so much, then you remember what they were doing, Paul and those guys. They would dust even the very dust off their sandals and leave them. And that's when they went and were preaching to the Gentiles. So, yeah, there's men of the world, they don't want to hear it. Then dust the very dirt off your sandals and move on and preach it to those who want to hear it. Okay, to restore your fortunes, but have seen for your oracles that are false and misleading. So they were misleading people. All who pass along the way clap their hands at you. They hiss and wag their heads at the daughter of Jerusalem. In this, the city that was called the perfection of beauty, the joy of all the earth. Wow, they were the perfection of beauty, but now what do they got? Ashes. But God is the one who changes ashes to beauty. All your enemies rail against you. They hiss, they gnash their teeth. They cry, we have swallowed her. Ah, this is a day we longed for. Now we have it. We see it. The Lord has done what he purposed. He has carried out his word. Yeah, he did carry out his word. He told him solemnly by the prophet what was going to happen, and it did, which he commanded long ago. He has thrown down without pity. He has made the enemy rejoice over you and exalted the might of your foes. Their head cried to the Lord, O wall of the daughter of Zion, let tears stream down like a torrent day and night. Wow, the wall with tears day and night. Give yourself no rest, your eyes no respite. No, we rest in the Lord. The day of rest, Jesus Christ is our rest. Arise, cry out in the night, and at the beginning of the night watches. Pour out your heart like water before the presence of the Lord. Lift your hands to him for the lives of your children who faint for hunger at the head of every street. Look, O Lord, and see, with whom have you dealt thus? Should women eat the fruit of their womb, the children of their tender care? Should the women eat their own children? Well, we see record of this happening here at this time, 586 BC, and also Josephus, a Jewish historian, wrote of a woman that ate her own child because When Jerusalem rebelled against Rome, the Jewish leaders surrounded their own people, wouldn't let anyone trying to escape out to the Romans. They were killing their own people. So they did all kinds of torture to their own people and burnt their own food supply up to where they were starving. And when they were starving, one woman ate her own child and offered it to others. And everybody was sickened by it. The Jews inside were sickened by it. The Romans outside were sickened by it. So anyway, should priest and prophet be killed in the sanctuary of the Lord? In the dust of the streets lie the young and the old. My young women, my young men have fallen by the sword. You have killed them in the day of your anger, slaughter without pity. You summoned as if to a festival day my terrors on every side. And on the day of the anger of the Lord, no one escaped or survived. Those whom I held and raised, my enemy destroyed.